Hey, what's up, guys? It's Jay here, and as you probably already discerned from the title and thumbnail of this video, in today's upload we're going to be discussing some more Naruto and JJK stuff on the channel, and the two main points of interest in today's upload will be none other than the protagonist of these two series, Itadori and Naruto. So just a quick disclaimer, I will only be discussing the power of part 1 Naruto in this video, so don't really expect any overview of his power for the full series. I'll start by discussing Itadori since I've yet to ever really discuss his power on the channel. Itadori is a young boy thrust into a world of curses, horror, and death upon becoming a vessel for a powerful and evil entity known as the King of Curses, Sukuna. Through becoming Sukuna's vessel, Itadori also gains access to his latent cursed energy, a form of energy made manifest by the negative emotions of, humankind. By utilizing this cursed energy, characters are capable of a bunch of insane hacks, and, other abilities like spatial manipulation, soul manipulation, and even conceptual manipulation to agree, but we'll discuss more of Itadori's hacks later in the video. For now, let's cover Itadori's attack potency. I'll start by discussing Itadori during the Kyoto Exchange arc, since that's when I feel his power during the beginning of JJK was best showcased. So we know at the very least Itadori should scale higher than the likes of Mekamaru's fucking special beam cannon, considering he clearly scales to Todo, who supposedly had the capacity to take on all of the Tokyo students at the exchange event and win. So obviously Itadori should scale higher than the nigga who couldn't even fight the panda, right? Mekamaru's special beam cannon being able to vaporize a pretty decent portion of land in a feat calc requiring about 5.1 times 10 to the 10 joules of energy, which is a city block level feat. This does seem to be, a massive downplay for Itadori's power though. It makes much more sense to scale Yuji to special grades such as hanami, who he was able to swap hands with and damage pretty considerably throughout their fight. Hanami performing a pretty impressive feat during his entrance to the Kyoto Exchange Festival, growing a bunch of massive tree roots seemingly instantly, as we discussed with Obito in the God Tree feat over in my Naruto video, which I highly suggest you check out. Moving massive structures of this nature requires a lot of kinetic energy, and the amount of KE required to move all of these, structures, these massive wooden trunk thingies, has been calculated about 3.3 megatons of TNT, which is about city level and is about as potent as most nuclear bombs these days, I would say, making Hanami and obviously those relative to him, such as Itadori and Todo at this time, city level. Now, Itadori does get amps in power by, Black Flash, which he learns during this arc, increasing his striking strength by 2.5 times his normal, power, or 2.5 exponents his normal power if you go with what the fucking data book or whatever that is says. If we apply these increases to the joule value stated previously, then we should be able to pretty quickly assess Itadori's AP with Black Flash, and the conclusion ends up being about 2.75 times 10 to the 11 joules of energy through 8.25 megatons of TNT, which is logically still city block level through city level. And as a high end, we could potentially place these joule values at 5.9 times 10 to the 26 through 3.2 times 10 to the 40 joules of energy, which is surprisingly enough multi-continental through dwarf star level. So Itadori does have some pretty okay arguments for having insane attack potency pretty early on in the series, but since I know a lot of people don't like the idea of Black Flash being a 2.5 exponent increase in power, I'll stick with the city level conclusions for now. But Itadori's feats do get far more impressive as we get deeper into the manga. While possessed by Sukuna, Itadori was able to take down Jogo fairly easily, Jogo via his domain expansion, being able to construct a mountain of iron from his own cursed energy, a feat calculated requiring 8.5 times 10 to the 18 joules of energy, which is logically large mountain level. He should also likely scale above Dogon while utilizing Sukuna's cursed energy, if not without it, Dogon being relative to Maki and Megumi, who Itadori likely scales to, if not above. Dogon being able to construct an entire island from his cursed energy via his domain expansion, which I've calculated requiring about 9.9 times 10 to the 22 joules of energy, which is country level. If we interpret Itadori's Black Flash as being a 2.5 multiplier to his max energy or max attack potency, then Itadori's max energy output isn't actually that much more, being either 2.1 times 10 to the 19 joules of energy through 2.4 times 10 to the 23 joules of energy, which is island level through country level. But if we interpret Black Flash as once again being a 2.5 exponent increase in power, then these joules values reach upward of 2.1 times 10 to the 41 joules of energy through 3.08 times 10 to the 57 joules of energy, which is dwarf star level through multi-solar system level, surprisingly enough. But as I said, just to avoid contention, I won't be using these stupid ass Black Flash exponent increases, just because I honestly don't think they're logical, and I know a lot of people don't like them. But otherwise I would use them just to fuck around. You feel me? So moving on into Naruto. Like Itadori, Naruto is a young boy acting as a vessel for a powerful and malicious entity known as the Nine-Tailed Fox. Through becoming the Fox's vessel, Naruto gains access to a tremendous power when in moments of emotional distress, as well as an extremely large chakra reserve. Chakra being a supernatural energy formed from one's physical and mental vitality, seemingly. Like with cursed energy in JJK, manipulating chakra also allows for a bunch of insane hacks like spatial and soul manipulation, but we'll discuss that later. And in this video we will only be discussing Naruto's AP in part 1, as I stated earlier. Just to make these things fair, as Naruto is a fucking powerhouse by the end of his shit, and Itadori is nowhere near the end of his story, so it just doesn't seem fair to compare them at this point. Naruto, during the Chunin exams, was able to completely stop the movement of one of Orochimaru's massive snakes single-handedly, a feat which, due to the massive size of the snakes and their naturally gigantic mass, has been calculated requiring 1.4 times 10 to the 13 joules of energy, or 3.4 kilotons of TNT, which is small town level. So we already have Naruto surpassing the power of Mekamaru's ultimate cannon and getting pretty close to Hanami's city level feats. With summons, Naruto is able to bring forth gamabunta, a giant toad comparable in strength to tailed beasts. All tailed beasts having access to tailed bijudamas, which are giant balls of destruction which can pretty much easily vaporize mountains and islands and shit of that nature. Most bijudamas having their standard attack potency calculated at 9.8 times 10 to the 20 joules of energy, which is large island level. Although these bijudamas do fluctuate in strength as shown consistently in the series. The point is, gamabunta could potentially be a massive boost to Naruto's AP. Not to say Naruto doesn't have some pretty impressive APs of his own past this point. For instance, during the Sasuke retrieval arc, we should be able to scale Naruto pretty soundly above Choji and his super expansion jutsu, considering Choji was considered the most useless and the weakest of the Chunin sent to retrieve Sasuke, and that Jirobo, who pretty easily shrugged off Choji and his expansion jutsu, was also considered the weakest of the Sound Four. Choji's expansions making him anywhere from 610 through 876 meters tall, and increasing his mass to about 1.2 times 10 to the 10 kilograms at roughly the speed of lightning, according to the data books. Most calcs placing the amount of energy necessary to move this much mass at this much speed at 4.3 times 10 to the 20 joules of energy, which is once again island level. So Naruto in part 1 is consistently island level, with summonings and without. Naruto would then likely gain a 10 times increase in power from his one-tailed Kyuubi form, a transformation which should provide power comparable, if not greater than the likes of Curse Mark II Sasuke, who should roughly be 10 times stronger than his Curse Mark I state. So Naruto in his Kyuubi chakra form likely jumps to 4.3 times 10 to the 21 joules of energy in terms of his AP, which is small country level, making him and Itadori pretty relative in strength at this point, but still giving Itadori the advantage moving into speed and hacks. When it comes to speed, here's where the feats start to get a little lackluster for JJK in my opinion. Maki, who Itadori should scale above, was capable of reacting to and, catching bullets at point blank range, a feat calced at high hypersonic or Mach 27. Itadori, while using Black Flash, was able to travel about 1 meter in about 1/1,000,000th of a second, a feat which has been calculated at sub-relativistic, placing Itadori's speed at about 1% the speed of light. We don't have too many other, speed feats that plays him higher than this, so I'll move into his hacks. Thanks to Sukuna, Itadori does have the ability to bypass conventional durability via interacting with one's soul, like he did with Mahito. He also has a pretty unique form of, soul protection, with Sukuna not really allowing others to, touch or manipulate Itadori's soul, since it will require manipulating his own soul. Itadori also likely has spatial manipulation to a limited degree with Black Flash, which was stated to be able to distort space. This spatial manipulation also likely gives Itadori a way to bypass conventional durability, as that is a function of spatial manipulation. It does just, bypass, conventional durability. I think these are Itadori's most important hacks in the context of combat, but I guess I'll list a few more after this portion of the video is done. Okay, so moving back into Naruto. During the Chunin exams, we are shown consistently for the first time the level of speed these characters are actually capable of moving at, with numerous characters being able to dodge the sound-based attack shot by the beginning of the Sound Village. Most calcs placing the amount of speed required for such feats at Mach 2.1 through 24. We should also be able to scale Naruto above the speed of Gaara's automatic defense, seeing as he should be relative to Sasuke and Leaf, who were both fast enough to, get around the defense. Gaara's automatic defense could react to explosions at point blank range fairly casually. So even if we were to interpret these whacking ninja explosions as just being something like TNT, most calcs would still place the speed required for such a feat at about Mach 29, making Naruto easily hypersonic plus at this point. With rage amps, Naruto does get a little bit more ridiculous though, being able to overwhelm and outmaneuver Haku, who could speed blitz Kakashi and his lightning speed Chidori from across the battlefield. We could even argue light speed Naruto, even this early in the series with Haku, who could apparently move from mirror to mirror at light speed, right? Of course, Naruto does get, numerous amps in strength and speed from his various QB transformations, but this video is already long enough, so I won't be going over all that right now. So I'll just say Naruto is anywhere from hypersonic through potentially light speed at his max during part 1, and I'll move right on into the conclusion. I didn't have time to list Naruto's hacks just because this is getting really long and I did get sick halfway through the making of this video, but I will list them, or I will list his most applicable battle hacks in the next portion of this video, similar to what I did with Itadori before moving on into the conclusion. So yeah. As for who I think wins this battle, I'd probably give it to Naruto, just due to the massive difference in speed between him and Itadori. Itadori's best speed feat placing him at about 1% the speed of light, whereas Naruto has pretty solid arguments for light speed, even in arc 1 of his show. So yeah, I'd say Itadori would kind of just get speed blitz here despite having the slight advantage in AP. I'd say Itadori also has the better hacks, being able to, bypass conventional durability via soul manipulation, as well as spatial manipulation, as well as probably having better regen than Naruto. Naruto being able to regrow things like his lungs and internal organs if they are damaged or destroyed in battle, whereas Itadori can just straight up regrow limbs. The problem I see with Itadori winning this battle is straight up just his speed. He just seems too slow to fuck with somebody who has possible light speed arguments for arc 1 of his show. And even if we just use like Haku speed blitzing lightning fast Kakashi from across the battlefield, it just seems like too much for Itadori to handle. But he is still a very impressive character nonetheless. So let me know who you guys think wins in the comment section down below, and I'll see you guys in the next video.